and be glad in it. This is the day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. This is the day that the Lord has made. This is the day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. This is the day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. This is the day that the Lord has made.
All right, I'm Bill Barron. I'm president of the Board of Trustees at Unity of Charlotte. I'm delighted to see everyone here on this last day of 2017 as we bring it to a close and welcome in the new year. I'd like to welcome any guests that are here for the first time. If you wouldn't mind just raising your hand so we can acknowledge you. Oh, wow. All right. Thank you for being here. Glad you're here. And I also want to welcome those of you who may be watching at some point at YouTube or on Access 21. We're glad to have you with us, and we're down here at 401 East Arrowwood in Charlotte, and we'd love to have you come visit us on our Sunday celebration service at 10:30 every Sunday.
Please prepare yourselves for a spiritual practice that we have come to love here at Unity of Charlotte. This is a meditative spiritual practice. We intend for you to quiet the chatter in your minds and allow yourselves to realize a few spiritual truths that we share. Allow your hearts and your minds to embrace and embody the experiences that are described. We know that God is all good. God is active in everything, everywhere. Each of us is naturally good because God's divinity is in each and every one. Embrace yourself as an expression of God. We create experiences by what we choose to think and what we feel and believe. Through affirmative prayer and meditation, connect with God. Bring out the good in your life. envision yourself being the good. Love the good. Love yourself. Do and give your best. Live these truths. You'll make a difference. And so it is.
Just simply breathe into the awareness of those living principles, into the awareness that there is one living presence, one power, one divine being that we call God. We remember that it is everywhere present and always available. And so we open our hearts and minds in this moment for a greater realization of the truth, knowing that indeed it is the truth that sets us free. How grateful we are for this opportunity to come together in spiritual community, to allow something to be stirred, something to be inspired, something to be remembered about the truth of our being and the purpose for our life. How grateful I am for the many hands and hearts that come together each Sunday to provide this loving space in which we can remember that truth. And so I give thanks for all of those who have participated in the creation of this moment. I know that we are indeed blessed. For this, I am grateful. As together we say, and so it is. Amen. This morning, our meditation comes from Dr. Howard Thurman and is called Blessings at Year End. So I invite you, if it's comfortable, to close your eyes and just relax into these words. I remember with gratitude the fruits of the labors of others, which I have shared as a part of the normal experience of daily living. I remember the beautiful things that I have seen, heard, and felt, some as a result of definite seeking on my part, and many that came unheralded into my path, warming my heart, rejoicing my spirit. I remember the moments of distress that proved to be groundless, and those that taught me profoundly about the evilness of evil and the goodness of good. I remember the new people I have met, from whom I have caught glimpses of the meaning of my own life and the true character of human dignity. I remember the dreams that haunted me during the year, keeping me ever mindful of goals and hopes which I did not realize, but from which I drew inspiration to sustain my life and keep steady my purposes. I remember the awareness of the Spirit of God that sought me out in my aloneness, and gave to me a sense of assurance that undercut my despair and confirmed my life with new courage and abiding hope. So let us just breathe into this transitional moment. As we release the old, we say goodbye to what was, and we embrace the new coming forward. Indeed, it is a time for letting go, for allowing that which no longer serves us to be no more, and to embrace the wholeness, the fullness, the joy of living in our daily experience. For all of these blessings and so many more, we give thanks. Amen. Lovely. Thank you. So I'd like to invite you to stand and join me in reading the affirmation. We're going to start early. It's not quite January, but you get extra credit for doing it now. And then you can just remain standing as we go into our congregational song. Together, today I set a clear intention to live life fully. Joy, happiness, and well-being fill my soul. With complete clarity, I create the life I choose. With complete certainty, I am guided into right action. And just for fun, put your hand over your heart as we say that last one again with feeling. Today, I set a clear intention to live life fully.
Come with me and you'll be in a world of pure imagination. Take a look and you'll see into your imagination. We'll begin with a spin, in the world of my creation. What we'll see will defy explanation. If you want to see paradise, simply look around and view it. Anything you want to do it. Want to change the world, there's nothing to it. There's a place that I know to compare with pure imagination. Living there, you'll be free if you truly wish to be. If you want to see magic lands, close your eyes and you will see one. Want to be a dreamer, be one. Anytime you please, and please save me one. Come with me and you'll be in a world of pure imagination. Take a look and you'll see into your imagination. There is no place to go to compare with your imagination. So go there to be free if you truly wish to be. Living there, you'll be free if you truly wish to be.
Thank you. Oh, let me check again, do I? Okay. I'm not sure who's in charge, which is disconcerting for those of us that have controls issues, but... Oh, that. Yes. I know, but I like the illusion of being in charge, so bear with me. Good morning. How are you? Happy old year. So we're still in it, but we're about to let go. And so it's wonderful to be together this morning and to celebrate life and all of its fullness. You see, I was reflecting. This is a time for reflection. You know, it's always interesting to me. We pick a date and then we say, this means this, right? So now it's New Year's, and so everybody collectively says, we're going to do stuff. And I don't know if you watch TV at all, but you see a lot of dieting ads and a lot of gym memberships available and all kinds of wonderful things, because this year it's all going to be different, right? Yes. We'll get together next week and see how we're doing and check in. But, you know, it's a wonderful thing that we set those intentions for ourselves to move forward. So this is a time to reflect. This is a year unlike any other. It's easy to say because none of them are the same. But in many ways, it has felt like a year unlike any other, right? We are experiencing life in its fullness. We're seeing what is pure and wonderful and beautiful, and we're also seeing what is not. I have a belief that very often in life, what happens for us when we move forward in our lives, and then something comes forward that it's like, I remember one time praying for patience. And it was as if the divine said to me, okay, really? Serious? Because I'm sending some people who will test your resolve. Ever experienced that? You set a new intention, and that which is unlike it comes up to be healed. You see, we're not being punished or anything. It's not that it's not working. It's like, oh no, if you really want to have that experience, then you're going to have to let go of some stuff. Always comes back to doing the work, doesn't it? So I was reflecting a little bit about this, how grateful I am for this year, and from how life continues to unfold. There were so many blessings, and I'm sure this is true for you, there were so many blessings that were easy to recognize. You know, the blessings that look the way you want them to. And then there was a number of blessings that were disguised as something else. And so I looked at myself in the hospital at the beginning of the year going, I don't think I belong here, but clearly they do. So what comes out of that? What comes next? Turned out to be a tremendous blessing. I remember looking back at the new lives that have come into my life, not the least of which is this group. Got a whole group of you all at once. And those that have left, either through personal choice or through making a transition to another experience of life in another dimension. And for all of it, I give thanks. You see, in the Bible it says to us, in all things give thanks. Key word there, all. Giving thanks for the blessings even before we can recognize them as blessings. You see, when we move into this spiritual philosophy, we begin to see that everything is unfolding. You know, I think sometimes we want to take a snapshot of what is and call it good or bad. But the truth is there's an unfolding pattern in our lives. And we get to be a choice. If we love what's happening, I say keep doing that. And if we don't love what's happening, just a thought, try something else. You know, we all have friends that don't like what's happening in their life and continue to tell us how bad and wrong and horrible it is. And you might suggest to them in the most loving way possible, have you looked in the mirror? No, you don't get it. It's them. It's the world that must change. It's my spouse. It's my kids. It's my significant others. It's my insignificant others. I don't know. You can blame it on anyone. You know, it reminds me of that story about the farmer who, his neighbor came over and said, hey, can I borrow your axe? And he said, you know, I can't. My donkey's sick. Second farmer says, so what does your donkey being sick have to do with me borrowing your axe? And he says, if I don't want to lend you my axe, one excuse is as good as another. Right? I mean, blame it on whatever you want. And yet we know that the real work is always done within our own being, within our own consciousness. Now, that's not to say we should not pay attention to what's happening around us. But I have discovered that the more work I do inwardly and allow that to be the impetus for the work I want to do in the world, the more effective I am. I remember I was reflecting of early ministry and how I was going to change the world. So how'd that work for you, right? And then somewhere along the line, well, if I could just change the people in my church, right? That didn't work so well either. They didn't want to be changed, certainly not to the version I had for them. And then I thought, well, how about if I just work with my family? So it took me, 26 years, but I got, well, what if I just changed? Crazy. What if I did the work? And then we bring that intentionality into the world. You see, I've come to believe, I don't practice it perfectly ever, but I come to believe that everything that's happening in my life is some reflection of me because I'm interpreting it. Right? It's not that I see myself as the center of the universe, but I'm the center of my universe, as are you. And so the common denominator is I'm there. I look at the entirety of my life, the common denominator, I was there for all of it. So it would imply that the work might be with me. Now, what we also know, Lawrence recited the unity principle so beautifully, but when we do that, when we create the space within ourselves, when we develop the consciousness of wholeness, the consciousness of love, the consciousness of peace, the consciousness of joy, then the natural thing that happens is those things are attracted to us and we are attracted to them. How good is that? So as I said, this is the time when tonight we'll have a ceremony for those that can join us to actually symbolically release, the burning bowl ceremony, release that which we're willing and able to let go of. And then in its place, create a new intention. I remember years ago hearing Michael Beckwith say, 90% of your spiritual growth is about letting go. And I thought, well, that can't be right. I mean, with everything I know, come on, And yet, as I get older, he gets wiser, right? Because if we think about it for a moment, who we are by our divine inheritance is whole, perfect spiritual beings. That's who we are. That's the program. Don't have to do anything to get there. Now, that is not to say we are all living as if that were true. That is not to say that there isn't work to be done, but the truth is, you see, sometimes people will say, well, I just want to be more spiritual. You say, sorry, I got some news. The news is you're right now as spiritual as you will ever be. Now, you might act more spiritually, you might be more spiritually aware, but the inherent essence of who you are, this is it. Embrace that. And then we can set new intentions and set forth new possibilities for fulfillment. You see, one of the great secrets of the ages is that our attitudes, our visualizations, and our intentions have the power to change reality. Right? You know this, right? That the power we have is literally the power to change life. And so when people come together in powerful intention, they literally change the world. Now, sometimes that powerful intention hasn't always been for the highest good of all concerned. Right? Sometimes it's a them and us kind of intention. But what we know in this age in which we live is an opportunity and awareness that as we come together with powerful intention for a greater good to be revealed, we will see it in our world. And so I keep saying to people, the work to be done has never been more important than it is right now. Right now. There are big problems in our world. Watch the news. Don't watch a lot of it. You'll get crazy, but a little bit tells you there's some big problems in our world. But there is no problem that's bigger than who we are, for us personally or for us collectively. And so we must return to the source over and over and over. Even Jesus in his ministry, touching and healing and blessing so many, took time to withdraw from the world, to go into the desert, to be still, and to remember the presence of the divine as his very life and being. It was from that awareness, continually remembering, reminding, continually deepening, that he was able to go out into the world and do his powerful work. You see, sometimes I think we forget that. Sometimes I think we forget that we must be still and know. Particularly in our culture, which rewards production. I remember when I was learning to meditate, I didn't like it. Because I'd sit down, have the right music, a little incense, everything, all the conditions were perfect. Sit down, close my eyes, feed the dog. What about the groceries? The monkey mind started like, what about, and what are you doing here? Do you know what your list is? And you're just sitting here. So, you've done this? Some of you know what I'm talking about, I can tell. I'm not the only one. So I had this great teacher and great friend who was one of my practitioner teachers, and she said, you need to rewrite your job description. You see, if you're going to be a spiritual being, you want to spend time in spiritual practice. And so if that is your job description, then write it in. Now, this sounds crazy, but it worked. Now it's in my job description. I'm not being non-productive. I'm fulfilling my job. Do whatever it takes. That's my feeling. Do whatever it takes, If you have to talk yourself into things, talk yourself into things. But you see, so often we're so busy, we want to do, and so I found that sometimes to slow down, to get still, to be clear, and then move into action is so much more productive. Have you ever had that experience? Yeah, you're stressing, you don't know what to do, and finally you give it up and you go wash the dishes, and all of a sudden, poof, there's the answer. It's like God's going, would you shut up for a minute so I can talk? I'm just talking about me here. Not pointing any fingers. You see, we know that mind over matter is a process that can be learned. That we really can take control of our thoughts. It takes practice. We have to be able to move out of the reactive mind into the responsive mind. What do I choose in this moment? And that is a practice. I found that when I started, I'd be reactive, and then I have a moment and go, I could do that differently. And then it kind of got shorter. And then at some point there was this moment. I was like, I can either react or I can make a new choice. Before I reacted, can you believe it? It's crazy, right? And now I realize, again, it's a practice to just go, things show up that I hadn't expected. What opportunity does this provide? What experience can I grow through to have what I truly want? So the second great secret of the ages is that that is all of our attitudes and intention that are available to human beings, and there's many of them, all of those attitudes and intentions that are available, the most powerful is love, is kindness, is compassion. You see, I don't think we fully understand the teachings of the Master. So many things have been quoted and said, but what he said to us, which was radically different from the rabbis that had gone before and the other teachers, is you must love those who persecute you. You must pray for your enemies. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't want to pray for my enemies. I just want to get even. I'm adopting that phrase, as they say in the South, bless their heart. It's better, right? I'm growing. Bless you is better than other options. Right? But you see, we can love each other. We can love the essence of who someone is without approving of their behavior. You see, that's one of the things that we mistake, is that if I just choose love, then I'm condoning that. And it is the recognition that we are indeed all divine beings. Some of us are living at a higher level of awareness of that, and others have much to do. But everything happens because we choose love over every other option. We know that intentions create reality, and the most potent of these intentions is love. It is forgiveness, which forgiveness is just removing the obstacle so we can be in a state of love again. Right? And so we know very powerfully that in order to have a different experience outwardly, we must begin to have a different inward experience. This is all so basic. I know you all know it. I needed to hear it today, so thank you for indulging me. Right? That if we want to have a different experience of the outer, we must change the inner. You see, before I found these teachings, I moved a lot. I never took more than a 6-month lease. Because I knew once I found the right apartment, then I'd be happy. Went through lots of relationships. 2 weeks for me was long term. Yes, I'm in a long-term committed relationship. It's like the second week. What, are you kidding? Because I wanted somebody to make me happy, and nobody would. No guy got the memo. It was before email, so they didn't get the email. They just kept being them. And lo and behold, I found a spiritual community that said, look within. That when you find joy and happiness inside of you, you will see it all around you. Isn't that good? People say, why Charlotte to me? I say, why not Charlotte? They ask, right? And people will say, where's your favorite place to live? I've lived in a lot of interesting places. And it's like, it doesn't matter. Every place has its beauty. Every place has its wonder. Everything has its beauty. And once I figured out that wherever I go, there I am, and I got okay with me, life's just cool. Why not Charlotte? So here we are. You see, but I think as we move into this time, we're setting our intentions, we're setting our resolutions, we're declaring new reality. The more important question for us to ask ourselves is not, what do I want? Nothing wrong with that. You want to make $100 million a year? Good. Good on you. I'm good. Tithe. Keep tithing. Right, Bill? Keep them tithing. Yeah, I'm good. We'll even put a prayer request in for you. So, right? But more importantly than what do I want to accomplish in my world is really the question of who do I want to be? Who do I want to become? In the visioning process, Michael Beckwith calls it the life visioning process. You see, I'll refer to Michael Beckwith a lot because I was fortunate to study with him. when he was just Mikey, I used to call him. Before he was Dr. Michael Bernard Beckwith. He was just a dude, but he was a wonderful teacher, and he started working with this process. And again, remember somebody explaining this visioning process about embracing the qualities of spirit that you wanted to embody. It's like, oh, that sounds good. That sounds great. When do we do stuff, though? Remember, this was right? But what we know in this visioning process is that the nature of life is to unfold. You see, you don't have to convince a plant it should grow. You must create the conditions in which it can, but you don't have to have that little chat. Life wants to unfold. And when we realize that there is a life presence within us, that if we will open to it, that the divine will. You see, I grew up believing that God's will was how we explained bad things. But I came to realize that the divine will is always to express more of itself. So the seed of anything has within it the intelligence, the wisdom, the capability to become fully itself, whatever it is. So too do we have a God seed within us that we can allow to express. And the divine will is to have that expressed fully. But we can get in the way. Emerson talked about getting my bloated nothingness out of the way, right? And I think I know what he was talking about. So in the visioning process, we look at this idea of what is the highest vision for my life? And then we sense into that. And then we ask the question, in order to realize this vision, how must I grow? Or who must I become to realize this? You see, our lives are a wonderful reflection of who we are. No guilt, no judgment. I'm just saying it's a wonderful reflection of who we are. And if we want to be different, we've got to grow into a different consciousness. Isn't that exciting? And then we ask ourselves, in order to encompass this vision, what must I release? Jesus talked about it, about going through the gate. That it's not easy. Another topic for another day. But what must we release? What must we let go of? You see, I discovered I couldn't take my anger and resentment and unforgiveness into the life that I dreamed of. That was about peace and love and joy. I wanted to. That lower self wanted to. But ultimately, we let go of those things so that we can become the person we already are at a spiritual level. And then the last question I like to look at is, what are the gifts of spirit that are being called forth to be more fully realized? If we are already right now as spiritual as we're ever going to be, perhaps we haven't fully reached the depth of understanding of those gifts within us. And so when we face a situation, it's an opportunity, it's an invitation to express more fully a spiritual quality. You see, every problem has a spiritual solution. If it's health, we embody wholeness. If it's lack, we embody abundance. If it's discord, we embody peace. Seems easy, doesn't it? It is easy. It takes a little work. It takes a lot of practice. But it is easy. You see, in Matthew it says to us, what does it profit a person to gain the whole world and forfeit his or her soul? What would a person give in exchange for one's soul? You see, sometimes when you go after the thing, after we go after the effect, if we think it's more money, we find out now we have a lot of money and we're still miserable. right? Because the thing won't bring us the experience that we're seeking. So we seek first the kingdom of heaven. We seek first the spiritual dimension. And from that place, all these things shall be added unto you. So, my friends, as we are moving into this new year, it is a wonderful time to set a new intention. Not only for what we want to accomplish, that's lovely, but really, who do we want to become? You see, it's not, the irony is not lost on me that this time last year, as I was looking into my crystal ball of what I would create and manifest, Unity of Charlotte was nowhere in there. And yet it is absolutely the fulfillment of the intentions that I set. So thank you. Let us pray. Let us take a moment to simply anchor this awareness into the reality of who we are. As our beautiful choirs making their way forward. Aren't they lovely? There are openings, by the way. If you'd like to be a part of this community, you don't have to be great. You can't be awful like me. I tried and they were like, no. Not going to happen. You keep talking. Just keep talking. So we have an agreement, but we are blessed. So join me now as we simply move into that awareness of this presence and this power that we call God. As we remember that in this presence we live and move and have our being. And how grateful I am for the recognition that this one life is always seeking its highest and best expression through us. How grateful I am to know that it is this intelligence that breathes itself through me and through you. There is nothing we have to do to be alive, because life is happening. And so we are moving into an expanded state of awareness where we remember the truth of who we are. We realize that divine wisdom is available always, that perfect love resides in our heart, that we are one with all good. And so we seek not so much to bring something into being, but to reveal what already is. We speak the word of truth today of wholeness, knowing that that wholeness reveals itself as health and well-being and vitality. We speak the word of truth as we recognize divine love everywhere present and always available. And as we embody this presence, we release that which no longer serves us. We fully forgive ourselves and others. And we allow our relationships to be healed and transformed through the power of unconditional love. We recognize right here and right now that we are indeed abundant beings, joyously participating in the divine flow, graciously giving and generously receiving of the divine bounty. There is one source, and we are one with it. So how blessed we are. As we count our blessings at year's end, we are truly, truly blessed in every way. And so we extend a blessing. We extend a blessing to this spiritual community, to this divine idea known as Unity of Charlotte, that it is unfolding perfectly in divine right timing and in perfect order. We extend that blessing to our brothers and sisters around the world. We're holding that high watch for a world that works for all, for a planet at peace. How grateful I am. And so I extend a blessing, as I always do, to all priests, all rabbis, all ministers and teachers of every faith. For I know that where two or more are gathered, the presence of the I Am is there, and it is good. We give thanks for the unfolding spiritual consciousness taking place right now. In joy and gratitude, then I am simply giving thanks. I am giving thanks for these many blessings. I'm giving thanks for a law of mind that operates upon the consciousness we have established, that brings forth the highest good for all concerned. And so in joy and gratitude, I simply release, I let it be so, as together we say, and so it is. Amen.
So blessed, I am so blessed, I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed, I am so blessed, I am so grateful, I am so blessed. So blessed, I am so blessed, I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed, I am so blessed, I am so grateful, I am so blessed.
I will. For me? Oh. I wasn't sure. I'm glad I clarified. So, at this point, we welcome our children. So hold with me this intention that by this time next year, we'll have 20, 30, 40 young ones join us on stage at this point. Sound good? And so I invite you to stand for the prayer of protection and to sing the peace song. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is and all is well. Blessings.